So before we looked at how to have a strong logical argument. However, just having the argument alone is not enough. You need to make it stronger and more persuasive by supporting your argument. This video looks at how you can support your argument with facts, examples, and quotes. We are going to look at these types of support in a discussion about climate change. Using a fact. Using a fact that is taken from a reliable source, such as academic articles or trustworthy news sites, such as The Guardian, provides real evidence and makes your argument more credible. Often this means using a statistic. Here is an example from the climate change discussion. Don, a climate scientist, is arguing that climate change is real.
And probably the clearest evidence of all comes from ancient records where we can actually see what the planet was like before humans were involved. This is why climate scientists, 99% on almost every study of climate scientists, shows that we're as unanimous as the scientific community ever gets, and that this evidence is real and that it's happening, and it's happening on every scale, from the ice caps to the ocean. Every place we look, we get the same answer.
So, 99% of climate scientists say climate change is real. It's pretty hard to ignore this evidence and try to deny his argument and say that climate change doesn't exist. And because he is a climate scientist, we can trust that his information is reliable and trustworthy. This is an example of how clear evidence in a fact can strongly support your argument. Using an example. Using an example of a situation can be a very effective way to make your argument stronger. It can also make your point clearer and easier to understand. In this clip, the people are discussing whether regulating people's use of energy is a good way to combat climate change. Regulating means controlling how much people use energy for things like cars and electricity at home. Don uses an example to show regulating works and supports the argument that regulating people's use of energy does help to reduce the effects of climate change.
A regulation a lot of us didn't like when the cost of gas went up here in California and we all had to have catalytic converters, but we've all agreed in this group that we're grateful that the air is clean like it wasn't when I was a kid, and we don't want those laws reversed because we'd be back to the smog we had when I was a kid. So those regulations may not have been great at the time, they may not have made people happy, but we've all learned to live with it, and now we're grateful.
As you can see, Don provides a clear example of how regulating can have a positive impact on the environment, making the argument for having regulation stronger. Using a quote. If you use a quote from a reliable source, such as a trusted publication or an expert, it can support your argument by making it more persuasive. It also supports your argument if the words you quote are meaningful and descriptive. Here is an example from the climate change discussion. Keith thinks regulation on energy use is not a good idea because it stops people from having freedom of choice.
The Constitution preamble, the last part of it says, to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. I'm concerned about them having liberty, having the freedom. Some people think that we don't have the right to choose, how we should live. I mean, because you want to enforce your way of life on others.
Keith has used a quote from the US Constitution, which says what people have rights to and the principles of the country. This is a widely recognized source, so is reliable, and the words he quoted are very meaningful, and as a result, help to provide strong support for his argument against regulation. So to review, to make your argument strong, you need to support your argument. You can do this by using facts, examples, and quotes. The support can provide real evidence from reliable sources to make your argument stronger. Use facts to show real evidence and proof of your argument. Use examples to make your argument clear and show real evidence. And using a quote from an expert or trusted publication makes your argument stronger and reliable. And when you quote words that grab attention and are descriptive.